They made us laugh, cry, dance, and dream. But behind the fame, behind the cameras and the screaming crowds, was a story waiting for its final chapter. These legends didn't just live, they burned bright. And in June, their light faded. But what they left behind, that still echoes today. Let's uncover the untold final moments of the stars who shaped a generation. James Arness, the giant who carried the West on his shoulders. Imagine one man standing tall enough to define an entire genre. Not just a role, not just a show on era. James Arness wasn't just Marshall Matt Dillon. He was the beating heart of American television for 2 decades. But how did this gentle giant spend his final days? And what legacy did he leave behind that most people never even saw coming? Born in 1923, James Arness was a towering figure in more ways than one, both literally, at 6'7", and figuratively, in the world of entertainment. He served bravely in World War II, where he was wounded at Anzio. That injury nearly cost him his leg, but it didn't stop him. Instead, it gave him the quiet grit that would later define Marshall Dillon in Gunsmoke. For 20 years, from 1955 to 1975, America tuned in every week to watch him restore justice in the wild frontier. He wasn't just acting, he was the law. Calm, stoic, and always walking the line between mercy and strength. But what most people don't know, Arness hated the spotlight. After Gunsmoke, he withdrew almost completely from Hollywood, choosing a life of peace and family over premieres and fame. He wrote a quiet autobiography, refused interviews, and when he passed away on the 3rd of June 2011, at the age of 88, he left behind no scandal, just a perfectly folded flag and a mountain of respect. His final message, posted posthumously on his website, read, "Thanks for all the many letters and kindnesses you have sent me over the years. I've been blessed with some wonderful fans. No tears, no tragedy, just the sunset of a true cowboy." Conway Twitty, the man who could sing your heart to tears. What if I told you there was a voice so smooth, it could melt heartbreak into gold? A voice that ruled both the rock and roll charts and the country music stage. And yet, behind that velvety baritone was a man running from pain, chasing redemption, and holding on to love until his very last breath. This is the story of Conway Twitty. Before he was Conway Twitty, he was Harold Lloyd Jenkins, a kid from Mississippi with a baseball dream. But fate had other plans. In 1958, he released It's Only Make Believe, and it exploded. A rock ballad that topped charts around the world. He could have stayed in that lane forever. But he did the unthinkable. He switched to country and didn't just survive, he dominated. With over 50 #1 hits, Conway became one of the most prolific country artists in history. Songs like Hello Darlin', You've Never Been This Far Before, and Tight Fittin' Jeans weren't just hits, they became soundtracks to people's lives. But while the world heard the love songs, Conway's real life was filled with battles, failed marriages, exhaustion from the road, and the constant pressure to stay relevant. Yet, he kept going. For the fans, for the music. Then, on the 5th of June, 1993, after collapsing backstage due to an abdominal aneurysm, Conway Twitty died at just 59 years old. His last song hadn't even been recorded, but his voice? It still echoes through jukeboxes, radios, and memories. As Loretta Lynn once said, there will never be another voice like his. He was country music's velvet hammer. Dee Dee Ramone, the punk who couldn't escape his own lyrics. He created the sound that launched a revolution. A bass guitar, 3 chords, and a scream that's all he needed. But what if the same chaos that made him a legend was also what destroyed him? This is the unfiltered, tragic, and electric story of Dee Dee Ramone. Born Douglas Glenn Colvin in 1951, Dee Dee was a military brat raised in Germany, who found his soul not in war but in distortion. When he moved to Queens, New York, he met 3 other outcasts, and together they formed the Ramones, not just a band, a detonator for punk rock. Dee Dee wasn't the best musician, but he was the heart of the group. He wrote the raw anthems, 53rd and 3rd, Rockaway Beach, Poison Heart. Songs that were messy, loud, and real, just like his life. Behind the 1 to 2, -3, -4 shout was a man battling heroin addiction, mental illness, and a constant sense of being unloved. Even after leaving the band in 1989, he couldn't escape his demons. He tried writing rap. He wrote memoirs. He even painted. But nothing stuck like the needle. On the 5th of June, 2002, Dee Dee was found dead of a heroin overdose in his Hollywood apartment. He was just 50 years old. A punk until the end, alone, chaotic, and unapologetically honest. On his tombstone, it doesn't say bassist. It doesn't say rock star. It simply says, "I feel so safe, flying on a ray on the highest trails above." Jean Harlow, Hollywood's first blonde bombshell who died too young. Before Marilyn, before Madonna, there was Jean. She was the original blonde bombshell, the woman who made America fall in love with danger, sass, and diamonds. But what no one saw coming was how suddenly it would all end. This is the hauntingly beautiful rise and fall of Jean Harlow. Born in 1911 in Kansas City, Jean Harlow never set out to be a star, but Hollywood found her. At just 19, she exploded onto the screen in Hell's Angels, 1930. Her platinum hair, flirtatious smile, and razor wit defined an entire era. She wasn't just in movies, she was the movie. She starred in hits like Red Dust, Dinner at 8, and Bombshell, and quickly became MGM's top star. Men wanted her, women imitated her. And yet, behind all that glitter, was a girl haunted by tragedy. Her second husband shot himself in front of her. She battled chronic illness, fatigue, and pressure from studios to keep performing. She collapsed on set in 1937 while filming Saratoga with Clark Gable. Just days later, on the 7th of June, 1937, Jean Harlow died of acute kidney failure. She was only 26 years old. Her death shocked the world. Clark Gable never fully recovered. MGM finished the film with a body double, and fans everywhere mourned the first true goddess of the silver screen. Jean wasn't just a star. She was a spark too bright, too fast, too soon. Sly Stone, the funk genius who vanished into silence. He made the world dance to a new rhythm. Funk, soul, rock, they all bowed to his groove. But what if I told you the man behind Everyday People and Dance to the Music disappeared for decades? This is the incredible, chaotic, and heartbreaking tale of Sly Stone. Born Sylvester Stewart in 1943, Sly wasn't just ahead of his time, he was the future. With Sly and the Family Stone, he didn't just mix genres, mixed races, genders, and ideas. On stage, they were electric. Off stage, they were a movement. Hits like Thank You, Fallatin Me Be Mice Elf Agent, and Family Affair weren't just catchy, they were revolutionary. Sly sang about peace, equality, and identity long before it was mainstream. And America danced. But behind those rose-colored glasses was paranoia, addiction, and collapse. Sly became erratic, fueled by PCP and cocaine. By the mid-70s, he stopped showing up for shows. By the 80s, he had disappeared. Rumors swirled he was homeless, living in a van, burned out by fame. He made rare appearances, the Grammys in 2006, a few cryptic interviews, but mostly silence. Then, on the 9th of June, 2025, Sly Stone passed away at 82. He left no tour, no final album, no farewell, just the sound of generations he helped shape. Questlove called him a prophet in platform shoes, and maybe he was. Sly didn't fade. He funked into history.